I'm Isabel.
And I'm Kel.
And this is Autism Unmasked. Hello and welcome to Autism Unmasked. I'm Isabel, and today we're talking about homeownership through a neurodivergent lens. For many people, buying or selling a home can feel overwhelming. There are a lot of decisions to make, unfamiliar processes to navigate, and expectations that don't always align with how neurodivergent people communicate, process information, or make decisions. To help us explore this topic, we're joined by Danielle Winn, a neurodivergent-friendly realtor and founder of Realtors for Neurodivergents. In this conversation, Danielle shares practical insights on creating a more accessible home buying experience, reducing stress throughout the process, and helping individuals and families find solutions that work for their unique needs. So let's get into it.
Welcome, Danielle. Thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little about yourself and your team, Realtors for Neurodivergents?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So my name is Danielle Winn, and I am a realtor with Full Circle Realty Co. and the Danielle Winn team. And yeah, so one of the things that we focus in or like to specialize in and put ourselves out there as focusing on neurodivergent individuals in the home buying and selling process. So that's pretty much what we do.
That's awesome. Was there a specific moment when you realized that traditional real estate wasn't built for everyone?
Yeah, so I had helped several people throughout the years who fell somewhere on either the spectrum or just needing accommodations for one reason or another, whether that was being autistic or having traumatic brain injuries or early onset dementia. And one of my clients specifically had a lot of social anxiety. And this is a business where we do have to interact with a lot of people. And she had asked a lot of times for, do I have to see people? Do I have to see people? And I was able to make a lot of accommodations for that. And it kind of just sparked my interest in how can we alter the normal way we do things to accommodate people who just don't fit the mold.
Yeah.
What does inclusive home buying mean to you personally?
Well, in addition to being a realtor, I am also a real estate instructor and I teach fair housing. And so it means a lot to me in a lot of different ways in terms of inclusivity. And when we teach fair housing, we often look at some of our bigger categories like race and religion. And disability is definitely one of those categories. But I think even as instructors, we miss the mark a little or don't quite go all the way. We think of wheelchairs, right? We think disabled, we think wheelchair ramps. And we miss, sometimes even blindness, deafness, and especially even those hidden disabilities that many of us do struggle with, right? Chronic pain, and again, the mental disabilities, or I don't even say disabilities, but just challenges, right? We're all different in different ways. And so I don't know that we've explored that fully in our industry. And again, not just real estate, but maybe all of our sectors of life. So for me, it means maybe stretching our understanding of needs and making sure that we are thinking of everybody and not just that traditional, stereotypical buyer and seller.
Right. Yeah. I think, and what you said about it, it's definitely, um, I wouldn't say an issue, but like, something that happens in every aspect of life that you don't really even think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some ways the typical home buying or selling process can feel overwhelming for neurodivergent individuals? And are there common barriers you see your clients facing?
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of new information. And
Yeah.
so, finding a professional who is really good at summarizing what's happening and keeping them on track, right? Sometimes we struggle with executive function and staying on track and steps. And there's just a lot to it, right? So someone who is understanding of that. I think also, again, just a lot of new people, a lot of new environments, right? Closing and attorneys, it's all very intimidating. So that process can be difficult. Also, I know for me personally, I struggle with the plan. I like things to go to plan. And in real estate, it doesn't always go to plan. So being sensitive and preparing them for, we're going to have a plan and the plan might change. And so just setting expectations for what might happen so they're prepared. So some of those types of things when you know it could be an emotional situation, or they might be affected by it more. Just being aware of those things helps them get through that more.
Yeah.
Why do you think this population has been overlooked in the real estate world?
I and again, I don't know that it's been overlooked. I think they've just been treated like everybody else, and that doesn't make realtors bad people. It just makes them uninformed, right? And they don't understand, and that's okay, because there's been a lot of populations that have been overlooked over the years until we get a voice, right? Until someone says, "Hey, wait, what about us?" And then education. Right. We need to learn how to accommodate. And so I think it's just our time. It's time. And so I think I'm excited to be part of that educational movement towards that, and towards bringing that attention to the topic. So I don't think, again, it doesn't make anyone bad at their jobs. It just makes them treat everyone the same. And I always say about a lot of things, right? We've just been treating horses, not zebras, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We just, but it's time that we start to see everyone's colors for the unique people that they are. And so it's an exciting time, I think.
I love how you put that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does your process look like compared to a traditional real estate experience? And what are the different accommodations you offer your clients in terms of communication style or pacing, anything like that?
So the biggest thing I think for us is, one, recognizing that each person is unique and different. So there isn't one format, it's options, right? And I think a lot of folks who are intimidated by the process, or scared of a lot of interaction, or being overwhelmed, they tend to go inward. Right. And just kind of clam up and be quiet. And so for us, it's about pulling them out of their shell and saying, you have a voice, and you get to pick the way we do this. So do you want to meet, do you want to talk on the phone, by email, in person, by Zoom? What, you pick your option, and we'll do that. And then the next phase, what makes you most comfortable? Here are your options. And so it's really about making them feel comfortable to voice their preferences. Most of people just go along with the flow. They follow what the person gives them, and they might be uncomfortable with that option and not feel confident to speak up about it. So instead of saying, "Are you okay with that?" You're going to get an agreeable answer. We say, "Which of these do you want to do?" So that they have agency over themselves and the process. So, and then we have you can tell it's very sensory friendly. It's very dim. We don't use fluorescent lighting. We have a very quiet workspace here, soft music. We will meet in their home. We will meet, anywhere they're comfortable, coffee shop if that's their safe spot. We try to keep them insulated from any extra people if that's what they want. We can do the whole process very privately from beginning to end. So we really do, again, work with everyone's preferences, not our preferences, because it's not about us.
What should neurodivergent individuals be looking for in a home that others might not think about?
Um, that's a good question. And I really do think it comes to personal preference, right? Everyone has different, uh, you know, triggers or stimuli. I think a detached home, is always a safe bet for someone who has any kind of sensitivities, right? Between noise and neighbors. But otherwise, and that's part of the reason why we do real estate a little differently. And I've always done this with all of my clients, to be honest. So I think that's where the natural fit for me in the niche comes in. Is I've always done very, very robust consultations with my clients to find out what they really want and need in a home, not just beds and baths, right? But the better I know my client, the better I can help find them the house that works for them, and remind them of those important things when sometimes they get distracted, or, "Oh my gosh, that kitchen's so beautiful, but remember, we really wanted, this and that, and this house doesn't have that." So keeping them centered on their goals, reminding them of the things that were important to them, even if they see something really pretty and distracting. So, but what a neurodivergent needs in a home is not for me to decide. It's really for them to decide, and that's what this process is all about: is that customization for each individual buyer.
And that kind of leads into our next question. Are there any specific features or layouts that tend to work better for sensory needs?
Um, I mean, again, I think I can only speak for myself. I do I do enjoy just quiet, but then, a lot of things can become background white noise, as well. So it really depends if you're sound intolerant or smell intolerant. And everyone has their personal preferences. So we just have to customize that experience to each person. Everyone has different sensitivities. So, layouts that flow, some people like to be able to have an open floor plan and see what's going on. Other people do like to have a more traditional floor plan. So they have more shelves and more, knickknacks and more wall space to decorate. So, some of us have object permanence issues. So we like to have a lot of, baskets and things where we can see all of our things, versus a lot of drawers, So I think everyone, that's the beauty of this population, right? Is we're so unique and different in our beautiful ways. So
Yeah. So for someone who feels intimidated by the finances or paperwork aspect of home buying, where would you say they should start?
I mean, they should definitely start with the realtor, right? And I don't say that because I am one. I'm trying to pitch real estate. Truly, when it comes to that part of it, we want to get you to the right lender for financing that can also accommodate the needs, right? Who is good at explaining and has good products. And so having those relationships are so important. So finding, I always say the realtor is the quarterback of the team. And we make sure that every other person who's going to help you is reputable, is good at their jobs, is going to do a great to get us to the end. And so that's really the important part is finding those teammates that are also going to be patient and explain things well and all of that.
What advice would you give to first-time neurodivergent home buyers?
I would say, don't be scared. It's not as scary as it sounds, honestly. If you find an agent who is patient and is good at their job at explaining things, it's really not that bad. It's it's stressful. I'm not going to say it's not stressful. It can be stressful, but it's a short term process, and at the end it's going to be amazing, right? To have agency over your own living space is so much better. I think there's anxiety in renting where you don't know if you're always going to be able to be there, if the rent's going to go up, and be able to customize your own home with paint colors and pets. And it is such a worthwhile process to do that it's worth it. It really is.
How can someone communicate their needs to a realtor if they're not sure how to put it into words?
Um, I love this question. I think because I do see a lot of people that clam up, right? Because it feels like confrontation. I think advocating for ourselves, I think it's difficult for, again, neurotypicals have trouble with this, right? So neurodivergent, it's even extra layer of difficulty. My recommendation is to sit down when you're by yourself or with a loved one, kind of your person, whoever that is in your life, and write down what you want in a home, right? What you want in your living space when you're thinking about it and have time to think about it. What do you love and hate about your home? Because when you're put on the spot, you're going to forget, right? Because you're kind of nervous. It's your first time meeting this person. So make a list of what you want in your home, and then make a list of the accommodations you need, right? I need you to speak slowly. I process a little slower. I need time to think, right? Silence is okay. Give me time to respond. Like whatever that list looks like. And then you have it in writing. You won't forget something. You won't feel shy to say it. And then give that to the realtor and go, here's some things I need both in my living space and in our relationship. A good realtor is going to be honestly thankful. We want to do a good job. We don't want to fail, right? We're in the service industry. Like, give us the tools to succeed for you. And I think that that's a really good way to accommodate that.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some green flags to look for in a realtor, and what are some red flags that they might not be the right fit?
I would say green flags is definitely someone who wants to sit down and do a consultation. If you find someone who just wants to run out and show you a house without sitting down and chatting first, that's not going to be a good fit. Especially for our population, we need to get to know each other, establish a trust relationship, have that communication, and get a game plan. Right? We need to know where the train is headed, so we know what's going on. Someone who is seems patient and kind and understanding. So I think that those would be green flags, right? Um, I think red flags would be just someone who seems to be in a hurry. Um, maybe doesn't explain things well, right? Kind of rushes through paperwork. Anyone who's pressuring to sign something too fast. So those aren't bad realtors, right? Those are great for other people who are fast, goal oriented, don't worry about the details. They just want to maybe they've done it before, right? Seasoned buyers and sellers are great for agents that are kind of quick to the point, sign here. That's great, right? Movers, shakers, just not the right fit, right? For us. So there's an agent for everybody, but I would say slower, methodical, sit down, do consultations, people who aren't in a hurry.
If you had a truly neurodivergent inclusive housing system perfect for any neurodivergent, what would that look like to you?
I think I think it would be a real estate industry that really does slow down more. And I think that would benefit everybody. We're so quick to send things electronically for signature, and just rush. And I think we're losing that human to human interaction that I still cherish. I've been doing it a lot longer than I look like I have. And I also grew up in the industry with my mom. And I like that one-on-one explaining what we're doing, explaining the process, giving updates, So I think a really inclusive environment would be a lot more human interaction,
Mhm.
getting to know people, having a real trust relationship through the process than kind of that quick transactional environment that we're in. So
Right.
that's what I think we need to get back to that for everybody's sake, really.
How can real estate professionals start doing better in the neurodivergent space?
Um, I think first just recognizing it, and I think recognizing that there is a population that looks very neurotypical, but is not. I do think that autistic or autism spectrum has a visual cue to most people that is very high needs, right? High level needs. Whereas we know that there is a lot of people that walk around masking and look very low support needs, but do struggle. And so I think educating realtors, and again, also lawyers, accountants, it's not just real estate, but making them understand that not everybody looks like what you think they should look like, but they still have needs. So, getting to know your clients on an individual level and understanding them, and I think making the conversation more acceptable for folks who are in that middle ground to say, I do have needs, and I would like you to accommodate them or be more this or that. That would help me through this process. So, making those conversations more socially acceptable and more comfortable to have, and then for service providers to be more receptive and understanding of them and not be like, well, you look normal, so I think we're lacking the visual cues that most people think we should have. And so just a more inclusive environment of the dialogue being more acceptable would be, I think, an
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of uh different situations as an adult that you go through where you feel like you need to know the process and like whoever you're working with is the professional and you should just listen to everything that they're saying. And I feel like that can be pretty intimidating sometimes for people to speak up and be like, "Well, wait, what about this?"
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very, you know, like forthcoming with, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Because I was raised by a realtor and I have to negotiate for people. So I do have that skill. But if I didn't, like all of the things I'd be going through where I'm like, what is happening? Like
Yeah.
what is even happening right now? And so I do feel bad for the folks who aren't comfortable doing that. And so I do try to be over explaining so people don't feel that way because I know they're not going to ask me. And I do try to make it as transparent as possible. So
What changes, if any, would you like to see the next 5 to 10 years in the real estate business as it relates to neurodivergent individuals?
um, I mean, I would like to see again, more discussion around it, more people getting into it, and maybe even more getting licensed, having more people in the industry who can relate so people do feel comfortable. I'd like to see, more agents who do struggle with some of the issues that we do being more open about it. I think there's, again, a stigma still attached to it, and that people think, oh, then you're not capable, whereas sometimes we're hyper capable. And so I think just more authenticity, more comfort with just revealing our own struggles. I think just, again, more transparency from everybody at every level, saying, I struggle and I'm still good at my job. And basically like a Me Too movement, but for neurodivergence, like a Me Too. And we relate. I think would be really powerful to show young people who struggle that you can still be successful. And we're out there and we are here to help each other.
What does home mean to you?
Um, yeah, I think I think for me, because I am so high masking, that home is like this unapologetic place I can just be me. And again, I can paint it any color I want. I have all my too many cats for rental. Absolutely. And yeah, you just really get to be unfiltered, and no one can tell you how to be, what to wear, what color hair to have, obviously with my pink hair. And it's safety, it's security. It's, no one's going to raise my rent. No one's going to kick me out. But even if you're renting, it's still kind of your happy place, right? It's your own little, it's a huge world rock we're spinning around on, but there's this tiny little postage stamp that is mine. And so yeah, you get to just decompress there. And it's your definition, it's no one else's. And that's something really special when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. What are 2 to 3 small things someone could do right now to make the home buying process more manageable for themselves or someone they support?
I would say, finding the right agent really makes all the difference, right? Finding someone that you do trust. Starting the process early, right? Getting to a loan officer, finding out what they're capable of. And that's the thing. People think I'm not ready yet. You're probably more ready than you think. And if you're not, knowing what you need to do is the first step. There's literally no judgment. None of us care where anybody is at in their financial life. Life is hard. Adulting is hard. We get it. There's no judgment, zero. So please come to us. If that's a goal, we want to get you there. So just start that first step and we will work with you. So, so getting the right agent, just finding out where you stand, right? And starting a goal and working towards it. And then again, kind of figuring out what does joy look like to you in terms of housing and that safe place. What does that mean to you? And then we can help get you there, right? So it's really just formulating the goal, and then we'll help you with the steps to get there. You just have to have the dream.
So where can listeners go to connect with you or learn more?
So the easiest place is just the website, because all the contact information will be there. So it's www.realtorsforneurodivergents.com. Realtors is REALTORS. So Realtors for Neurodivergents, plural.com.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for chatting with us. It was great to hear more about your business and also just the neurodivergent realm of home buying in general.
Yeah, I was so glad to be with you guys and share what I love, obviously. So, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Autism Unmasked. And a big thank you to Danielle Winn for sharing her expertise and helping us better understand how homeownership can become more accessible and supportive for neurodivergent individuals and families. If you'd like to learn more about today's topic, be sure to check the episode description, We've included links to relevant ASERT resources and resource collections that expand on the information discussed in this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, follow, or share Autism Unmasked with others who may find these conversations helpful. You can also find ASERT on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and other social media platforms for resources, updates, and new content throughout the year.
We'll see you next time on Autism Unmasked.
Autism Unmasked is brought to you by the ASERT Collaborative, which is funded by the Office of Developmental Programs within the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services.